So I wanted to come on today and just point out something that perhaps might have slipped through the cracks for some people, might not be on the radar, but maybe it should be on the radar. We're going to talk about the gold to silver ratio. We are DeCarly Trading. We're a futures and options brokerage service. We're actually located in Las Vegas, Nevada, because guess what? The weather's better here than Chicago. Before we get into it, I just want to make sure everyone understands there's a substantial risk of loss in trading futures and options. It's not suitable for everybody. It's probably not suitable for most people. It's not for everybody. First, let's take a look at a monthly chart of silver. Now, we like to look at long-term charts. This one actually dates back to 2006 because it gives us a good perspective on where the market's been. And of course, we don't have a crystal ball. We can't guess exactly where it's going, but we can infer some things. I mean, not unlike anything else in life, right? Models are models. We're making guesses. So based on this, on what we're seeing here, we see silver is basically holding trendline support. Now, it did break below that support recently when everybody was throwing the baby out with the bathwater, everything was selling off, everybody was liquidating, and silver did break below trendline support. However, on a monthly closing basis has actually continued to close above that. So in our book, it held. Although, with that said, anybody that was long into that big decline probably doesn't feel the same way. But from a charting standpoint, support held. And we do think that if you look at technical oscillators, they're starting to point up and look a little better. Also, if you look at the price of gold, gold is relatively high compared to silver, and we're going to talk about that in a minute with the gold to silver ratio. But for now, let's just take a look at where we think silver might go if it does find some buying interest. In the short run, we're probably looking at $17, $18. That's a reasonable target. Oh, but over the next couple of months, maybe 3-4 months, I think we're looking at maybe 2021. This is where silver topped out in about 2016. So feels like it's a long way away, but in reality, it really isn't, especially after the volatility we've seen in gold that has not bled into silver yet. And there's a good reason for that. Gold is being used as a portfolio hedging mechanism for most investors, and there's a lot of fear out there. On the other hand, silver is looked at an industrial metal, and of course, a lot of the economies around the world shut down, and so they were using less silver to make goods, and obviously that took its toll. So we're dealing with two different fundamental stories, but I do happen to be old enough to remember in 2008, 2009, silver actually rallied very sharply as investors were looking for inflation hedges and economic disaster hedges. They did go to silver at that time. So it's really interesting to see that it's being looked at purely from a manufacturing standpoint now, whereas a decade ago, people were looking at it as in the same way they look at gold today. So I'm thinking we should see some catch up. And in addition to what we're seeing here on the chart that suggests maybe the path of least resistance from a technical standpoint should be higher, we're also looking at the gold to silver ratio. The gold to silver ratio is basically how many ounces of silver it takes to buy 1 ounce of gold. And right now the ratio is above 100 for the first time ever. These types of things are interesting because it usually is a red flag waving, letting us know that silver is undervalued compared to gold. That doesn't mean that gold's going to sell off and silver's going to immediately start moving higher. It just means that there's an anomaly here that's probably not sustainable. In our view, we do believe gold probably will continue to creep higher, but we think silver is going to outpace it on the upside from here. In the past, when we've seen the gold to silver ratio at extremes, we normally do see reversals in the pattern. And so if that's the case, silver should be in a place to at least outperform gold. If you're interested in trading commodities or if you have questions, please keep in touch. We are DeCarly Trading. DeCarlyTrading.com is our website. You'll find educational material, and you'll actually have the ability to sign up for trials of our newsletters and those sorts of things. And if you're a reader, my book, Higher Probability Commodity Trading, is available at any major book outlet. We do have a new one on the way, should be out this summer on option trading, so keep an eye out for that.